Have you ever found yourself stuck for words just when you needed to speak clearly and confidently? Maybe you felt your mind slow down, even though your heart was racing. Thinking fast before you speak isn't just a skill some people are born with. It's something you can develop day by day with the right approach and practice. In this video, I'm going to share practical ways you can train your mind to respond quickly and speak with calm confidence, no matter the situation. You'll learn how to build mental habits that sharpen your focus, improve your listening, and help you express your thoughts clearly and precisely. These aren't complicated tricks, just simple everyday steps you can start using right now. Imagine being able to join any conversation, no matter how fast or challenging, and find the right words with ease. Picture yourself feeling calm instead of nervous when you speak, and watch how your confidence grows as your mind gets quicker. This isn't about rushing or forcing yourself. It's about steady, meaningful growth that changes how you communicate and how you feel about it. If you want to talk smarter, think faster, and connect better with others, keep watching. I'll guide you through straightforward, actionable advice that helps you take control of your thinking and your words so you can make every conversation count. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Train your brain to respond, not to react. Most people go through life without realizing how much power they hand over to their emotions. They react to everything that happens to them without pausing to question whether their reaction is useful, meaningful, or necessary. They live in a state of constant emotional motion, pulled and pushed by everything from a careless comment to a traffic jam. But there is another way to live, a way that offers clarity, control, and a calm strength. And it begins with training your brain to respond, not to react. The difference between reacting and responding may seem small on the surface, but it's the difference between being controlled and being in control. A reaction is immediate. It's emotional. It's the result of your nervous system firing off without reflection. But a response is considered. It's thoughtful. It's the result of your awareness stepping in and taking charge. That moment of pause, that space between what happens to you and how you choose to handle it, is where all of your power lies. Most people have never been taught how to access that space. They think fast means speaking fast or acting quickly, but thinking fast actually starts with thinking clearly. And clarity only comes when you're calm, not chaotic. Training your brain to respond instead of react means learning to pause. Not for long. Sometimes even a breath or two is enough. But it's in that pause where you access reason, maturity, and perspective. This kind of mental training is not automatic. It takes work, especially in a world that encourages speed over stillness and urges you to speak before you think. But if you want to be someone who thinks fast and speaks smart, you have to master your inner world before you can control your outer one. The first step is awareness. You can't change what you don't notice. So begin by observing yourself. Pay attention to the moments when you get triggered. It could be during an argument. It could be when you're interrupted. It could be when someone questions you, criticizes you, ignores you, or challenges your opinion. Don't try to fix anything right away. Just watch, like a scientist gathering data. Notice your heart rate. Notice the tone of your voice. Notice the thoughts that come up. This is the beginning of self-mastery. Learning to observe without judgment is a skill. It's the opposite of reacting. It's the art of noticing without acting on impulse. Once you start to observe your patterns, you'll begin to see how often your reactions are based on fear. The fear of being wrong. The fear of not being heard. The fear of losing control. Reactions are often emotional defenses, not logical responses. That's why training your brain to respond starts with taming your emotions. Not suppressing them, just understanding them. Emotional discipline is not about being numb. It's about being in charge. It means that when you feel angry, you acknowledge it, but you don't let it speak for you. It means that when you feel anxious, you don't ignore it, but you also don't let it make decisions for you. You use your feelings as information, not as instructions. One of the most effective ways to shift from reaction to response is to ask a question. When something provokes you, pause and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? What outcome do I want here? How would my best self handle this? These questions force your brain to slow down and step back. They break the automatic emotional loop and make room for reasoning. And once you get into the habit of questioning your impulses, you'll begin to notice a new kind of strength forming. It's the strength of restraint, the strength of patience, the strength of someone who doesn't need to prove themselves in every moment. Another powerful practice is to change your inner language. Your brain listens to the words you use. If you say, "This always happens to me," your brain will accept it as truth and reinforce your frustration. But if you say, "I can handle this calmly," or "This is just one moment, not my whole day," your brain shifts into a state of control instead of chaos. The words you use inside become the direction your emotions follow. So train yourself to use calm, focused, and empowering inner dialogue, even when the outer world feels stressful. It's also helpful to build a daily ritual of mental strengthening. Just like the body needs physical exercise, the mind needs deliberate training. This can be as simple as taking 5 minutes each morning to sit in silence, breathe deeply, and set an intention for the day. That intention could be something like, "Today I will respond with calm strength," or "Today I will listen before I speak." These small, quiet moments of intention build mental resilience over time. They condition your brain to choose response over reaction because they remind you of who you want to be before the world tries to shake that foundation. Responding instead of reacting also improves the quality of your communication. When you speak from a calm and considered place, your words carry more weight. You don't waste energy trying to win arguments or defend your ego. You speak clearly, you stay on point, and you listen with presence. This earns you respect, deepens your relationships, and makes you a more effective leader in any room. People listen more to those who speak less but say more. And that's what happens when your words come from a place of response instead of emotional reaction. This skill is especially important in high-pressure moments. Whether you're in a meeting, a difficult conversation, or facing unexpected criticism, your ability to pause and respond will set you apart. Most people raise their voice when they feel challenged. Most people rush to defend themselves or blame others. But when you stay grounded and centered, you create a kind of unshakable presence. People feel it, and they trust it. Because calm minds lead, and reactive minds follow chaos. You don't have to be perfect, you're human, and there will be times when your emotions get the best of you. The goal is not perfection, the goal is progress. Every time you catch yourself before reacting, you're strengthening a new habit. Every time you take a breath, consider your words and choose response, you're building a better version of yourself. Over time, these moments add up. They become who you are, and the beauty is that you don't need a perfect environment to practice this. In fact, the best time to train your brain is when life is messy, when people disappoint you, when you're misunderstood, when someone cuts you off in traffic, or when your patience is tested at home. These are the training grounds. These are the opportunities. Life is always offering you the chance to practice, to pause, to choose. There's also deep freedom in knowing you don't have to react to everything. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to respond to every provocation. You don't have to give away your peace just because someone else is in chaos. This is not weakness. This is maturity. And maturity is a strength that builds a better life. Another important step in training your brain is learning how to manage stress. When your body is flooded with adrenaline or cortisol, your thinking narrows. You become more reactive by default. So take care of your physical state. Get enough sleep. Move your body. Eat in a way that fuels your clarity. The mind and body are deeply connected. If your body is in survival mode, your brain won't have the space to respond wisely. A healthy routine supports mental discipline, and mental discipline gives you the edge in every area of life. Also, be careful who you spend time with. If you're constantly surrounded by reactive people, those who gossip, complain, or argue, you're more likely to mirror their behavior. Seek out people who are grounded, thoughtful, and calm under pressure. Learn from them. Let their example remind you of who you're becoming. And finally, forgive yourself when you slip. Growth is not a straight line. Some days you'll respond with grace. Other days you'll react out of frustration. What matters is that you keep coming back to the practice, that you keep choosing self-awareness over blame, that you keep showing up for your growth, even when it's hard. This is how real transformation happens, not all at once, but through steady, consistent choices. When you train your brain to respond instead of react, you become a better thinker, a better communicator, and a more grounded human being. You become someone who moves through the world with purpose, not panic. Someone who brings calm to chaos. Someone who speaks with intention instead of emotion. And most importantly, you become someone who respects their own peace so much. They no longer give it away cheaply. This is not just a technique. It's a way of life. It's the choice to live with awareness, with discipline, and with clarity. The rewards are endless: stronger relationships, clearer communication, greater confidence, and a mind that works for you instead of against you. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to take back control of how you show up in the world. You have the power to build this skill starting today. Every time you take a breath instead of reacting, every time you choose to listen before responding, every time you notice your emotions but don't let them lead, you are changing the structure of your life. You are becoming someone who leads with wisdom, someone who speaks with purpose, someone who lives with strength. This is how progress begins, not in grand declarations or big moments, but in the quiet discipline of choosing your response, again and again, until it becomes who you are. That is how you get better every single day. And that is how you begin to live, speak, and lead with true intelligence. Chapter 2. Strengthen your focus through daily mental exercises. Focus is not something you either have or don't have. It's something you train, like a muscle. And like any muscle, it can be weak, lazy, or unfocused from years of disuse. In the modern world, distractions are everywhere. Notifications interrupt your thoughts, worries scatter your attention, and the pace of daily life pushes you to rush through tasks without true presence. But if you want to get better every single day, the ability to focus must be developed with daily mental discipline. It is not enough to want to concentrate. You must actively build your capacity to do so, slowly, consistently, and deliberately. The first truth is this: your attention is your most valuable resource. Where it goes, your energy follows, and where your energy goes, your life begins to take shape. If you are constantly pulled in 100 directions, you won't move forward in any of them. But if you can center your mind, guide your focus, and stay with a task fully, even for short periods of time, the results compound. Clarity sharpens, understanding deepens, progress accelerates. To strengthen focus, you must train your mind like an athlete trains the body. This means starting small. You don't begin with a marathon, you begin with a walk. One of the most effective ways to sharpen mental clarity is by sitting in complete stillness for just 5 minutes a day. Choose one thing to focus on. It can be your breath, a sound in the room, a single word. The goal is not to clear the mind entirely, but to gently bring your attention back every time it wanders. At first it will wander often. That's not failure, that's training. Each return to focus is a mental repetition, just like lifting a weight. This simple act retrains the brain to resist distraction, and it teaches you something essential. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices them. That gap between the thought and your awareness of it is where focus lives. It's where discipline is built. It's the mental ground from which you can act with intention rather than impulse. Once you've begun to develop basic mental stillness, the next step is to challenge your attention span. The world has conditioned your brain for constant novelty, so you must reverse that conditioning. Set a timer for 10 or 15 minutes and choose one mentally demanding task. It might be writing, reading, problem solving, or learning something new. During that time, your only goal is to stay with the task. No checking your phone, no opening new tabs, no drifting into unrelated thoughts. When your mind wanders, and it will bring it back. Again and again, every time you return, you are building cognitive endurance. You are teaching your brain to stay. Over time, you'll notice a shift. What once felt like mental resistance will begin to feel like strength. Your ability to enter a state of deep concentration, what researchers call flow, will increase. You'll get more done in less time. Not because you're rushing, but because you're fully there. That kind of presence is rare, and it's powerful. But training the mind doesn't only happen in silence or in study. Daily life offers endless opportunities to develop focus if you treat each moment as practice. When speaking to someone, give them your undivided attention. Don't just listen to respond. Listen to understand. When walking, be fully aware of your steps, the movement of your legs, the sensation of the ground. When eating, pay attention to the flavor, the texture, the pace of each bite. These are not just acts of mindfulness, they are acts of discipline. They teach you to anchor your mind in the present moment, which is the only place where real growth happens. In addition to stillness and attention training, your physical habits have a direct impact on mental focus. Sleep is not just rest, it's cognitive recovery. Poor sleep shrinks your attention span, impairs your memory, and clouds your judgment. You cannot expect a sharp mind from a tired body. Nutrition matters too. The brain requires quality fuel, foods rich in healthy fats, proteins, and micronutrients to perform at its best. And movement, especially daily exercise, improves blood flow to the brain and sharpens alertness. Equally important is your digital environment. If your phone is constantly buzzing, if your workspace is cluttered with distractions, if you keep multiple tabs open at once, you are signaling to your brain that focus isn't necessary. You're training it to scatter. Reclaim your space. Turn off notifications. Set clear digital boundaries. Work with intention, not reaction. One tab, one task, one purpose. Mental exercises don't need to be complicated. One powerful method is what philosophers have practiced for centuries: journaling. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to write down 3 things: what you did well, what distracted you, what you will improve tomorrow. This builds awareness, and awareness is the foundation of control. When you know what steals your focus, you can begin to block it. When you recognize when your attention falters, you can strengthen it. Without reflection, you repeat mistakes. With it, you grow. Another practice is mental visualization. Before starting a difficult task, close your eyes and picture yourself focused, calm and engaged. Imagine distractions arising, and imagine yourself setting them aside with ease. This primes your brain for the state you want to enter. It's a technique used by elite performers across fields, athletes, musicians, leaders, because it works. The mind responds to what it believes, and you have the ability to guide that belief. Focus is not only about productivity, it's about peace. When your mind is scattered, your life feels chaotic. When your attention is hijacked, your values are too. But when your focus is clear, you feel anchored. You know what matters. You act with purpose. You stop chasing every urgent thing and start choosing the important ones. That is not just a better way to work. It's a better way to live. It's important to understand that mental discipline is not about perfection. It's about progress. Some days, your focus will be sharp. Other days, it will feel like you're wrestling with your own thoughts. That's okay. What matters is that you return to the practice. Each day, every day. That's how you get better. There will be moments when you want to give up, when it feels easier to give in to distraction, to let your mind drift, to take the path of least resistance. But every time you resist that temptation, you win a small victory over yourself, and those victories add up. They change how you think, how you live, who you become. Focus is a form of respect, respect for your time, your goals, your values, and your potential. When you train your mind to concentrate fully, you are honoring the work in front of you. You are honoring your life. And in that space between noise and silence, between reaction and intention, you find your strength. One moment at a time, one breath at a time, one day at a time. Chapter 3. Master Deep Listening to sharpen quick thinking skills. The ability to think quickly in the moment doesn't come from talking faster or reacting faster. It comes from listening better. Deep listening isn't passive. It's not simply waiting your turn to speak. It's an active process that requires full presence, mental stillness, and genuine attention. When you truly listen, you catch meaning beyond words. You notice tone, hesitation, choice of phrasing, emotional undercurrents, and shifts in energy. This level of awareness gives your mind the information it needs to form clear, immediate responses that are grounded, sharp, and relevant. Quick thinking is often misunderstood. Many assume it's about being clever or witty under pressure. But the foundation of real mental agility is grounded perception. If your mind is racing ahead, planning what to say next, or caught up in assumptions, you're not absorbing the full picture. And without the full picture, your responses are weak, rushed, or disconnected. But when you train yourself to listen deeply, you give your mind the space to process fully before it responds. This internal pause creates the environment where quick thinking can thrive, not rushed thinking, but accurate, composed thinking. Deep listening slows your reactions long enough for your thoughts to organize themselves. It brings structure to conversations and keeps your mind focused on what matters. In high-pressure situations, when you're tempted to jump in with quick opinions or fill in silence with nervous words, the discipline of deep listening helps you remain grounded. It teaches you how to hold space for others without getting lost in their energy. You learn to read between the lines, to catch the weight of a moment, and to notice what isn't being said. To begin mastering this skill, start by observing your own listening habits. Most people interrupt without realizing. Most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. Pay attention to how often your mind drifts during conversations. Notice how quickly you judge, analyze, or shift focus away from the speaker. These are the very habits that weaken your ability to think clearly in the moment. The solution is simple but not easy. Bring your attention back, over and over again. Anchor it to the speaker's voice. Stay curious. Focus on every word as if it matters, because it does. One of the most effective ways to strengthen your listening is to practice silent conversations. Sit with someone, ask a thoughtful question, and don't interrupt. Don't nod excessively. Don't prepare your next thought. Just listen. Take in their facial expressions. Watch their body language. Listen not only to what they say, but how they say it. After they finish, pause for 2 or 3 seconds before speaking. This pause gives your brain time to process. It also shows respect, and in that moment of stillness, you often receive clarity you would have missed had you jumped in too soon. This habit builds mental restraint, and that restraint becomes a powerful tool. The more you practice, the more you'll notice that people often reveal their true thoughts in the moments after they feel heard. When they no longer feel the need to prove something or defend themselves, they become honest. And in that honesty, your mind receives more useful data. It doesn't have to guess. It doesn't have to assume. It simply sees what is. And once you can see clearly, your ability to respond clearly improves dramatically. Another powerful exercise is to reflect after conversations. Replay the interaction in your mind. What did the person actually say? What were the key points? What emotional cues were present? Where did your focus slip? Where did you react instead of pause? By reviewing your listening in this way, you sharpen your mental awareness and identify patterns. You begin to train your brain to listen with purpose instead of habit. You also begin to recognize that every conversation is an opportunity to practice presence, not only to understand others, but to discipline your own mind. Deep listening also enhances memory and comprehension. Because you are fully tuned in, your brain retains information more effectively. When your mind is scattered, even the most important messages can slip past you. But when it is calm and centered, your mental recall improves. You catch small details that others miss, and these small details often carry the weight of insight. They help you connect ideas quickly. They help you respond with confidence, not guesswork. In situations where speed of thought is critical, such as interviews, debates, presentations, or negotiations, your ability to remain deeply present becomes your edge. While others are busy thinking ahead or trying to impress, you're absorbing the full dynamic. You're grounded, alert, and processing faster, because you're not distracted. This kind of mental sharpness doesn't come from speaking quickly. It comes from listening completely. And once you understand this, your communication takes on a new depth. When you master deep listening, you begin to notice that most problems in conversations arise from misinterpretation. People react to what they think was said, not what was actually said. But when you develop the patience to listen fully, you avoid this trap. You don't take words out of context. You don't jump to conclusions. You create space for clarity, and clarity leads to accurate thinking. Accurate thinking leads to better choices. Better choices shape your life. This practice is especially valuable when emotions are high. When someone is angry, upset, or anxious, it's easy to react emotionally in return. But if you maintain your center and listen deeply, you can separate the emotion from the message. You can understand what's driving their response without becoming defensive. This ability to stay composed in emotional moments is one of the hallmarks of emotional intelligence, and it begins with deep listening. Silence is an important part of this process. You don't need to fill every pause. You don't need to have all the answers. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer is your full attention. That attention is rare in today's world. Most people are so absorbed in themselves that they barely hear the people around them. But when you choose to listen with intention, you stand out. People remember how it feels to be heard, and they trust those who make them feel seen. In strengthening your listening, you also strengthen your thinking, because the same part of your brain that processes language also organizes thoughts. The more efficient you are at decoding speech, tone, and emotion, the more efficiently you form ideas, connections, and responses. It's all connected. Sharpening your attention to others trains your mind to be more agile, more present, and more effective. To grow in this area, make listening a daily discipline, not a passive habit, but an active skill. Practice when talking with friends, family, colleagues. Practice when watching interviews or speeches. Turn distractions off. Give your full attention. Ask deeper questions. Don't rush to fill silence. Reflect before responding. And always look for what's underneath the surface. There is always more than what's being said. This practice won't just improve how you listen, it will transform how you think. You will no longer be reacting to fragments, you will be responding to the whole. And in doing so, you will gain a calm, measured, and powerful kind of intelligence. One that doesn't shout to be heard, but listens to understand. And in that understanding, your clarity, confidence, and quickness of thought will rise, naturally, steadily, and with great strength. Chapter 4. Practice speaking with calm confidence under pressure. Speaking with calm confidence when the pressure is on is not a talent you're born with. It's a skill you build with deliberate effort. It begins with how you carry yourself long before the words leave your mouth. Pressure can come from many places: unexpected questions, large audiences, tense conversations, or moments where you feel judged or scrutinized. The mind naturally wants to speed up, fill the silence, escape the discomfort. But those who remain steady, who speak with clarity and strength in those moments, have trained their internal response. They've built a habit of stillness that gives their words weight and their presence power. Confidence is not the absence of nerves. It's the choice to act from purpose instead of panic. It's the practice of keeping your breath steady, your posture upright, and your thoughts clear, even when your heart is racing. To speak with calm confidence means you do not let the situation control your voice. You control it through discipline, through preparation, and through self-respect. That control begins with how you breathe. The breath is the first place pressure shows up. It shortens, it rises, it becomes erratic, and with that your voice weakens, your tone rises, your thinking becomes reactive. Training yourself to breathe deeply, slowly and evenly, especially in tense moments, anchors you in your body. It stops the runaway thoughts that cloud your message. When the breath is calm, the mind follows. When the mind is calm, speech becomes smoother, slower, and more deliberate. You stop rushing, you stop reaching. You begin to express from a place of authority, not insecurity. Preparation is another pillar of confidence. This doesn't mean scripting every word. It means understanding what you stand for. If you know the value of what you're saying, you won't need to chase approval. People who panic under pressure often doubt the worth of their own voice. They look to others for cues on how they should feel or respond. But when you've taken time to clarify your thoughts, when you've grounded your message in truth and sincerity, you don't need to perform. You simply speak from what you know to be true. That certainty quiets the internal noise and allows your message to land. Another essential skill is slowing down your speech. Pressure makes people talk fast. They feel they need to prove something quickly, or fear they'll lose attention. But when you speak too fast, your words lose their power. You become harder to follow and easier to overlook. Confident speakers slow down. They pause. They allow space between their thoughts. This space does two things. It shows you're not afraid of silence, and it gives your listener time to absorb what you're saying. It also gives you time to think clearly. Speaking slowly under pressure signals control, not hesitation. There's also strength in stillness, fidgeting, shifting, overusing hand gestures. These movements leak nervous energy. They tell your body you're not safe, which your brain then believes. But if you hold still, breathe evenly, and make eye contact, you signal to yourself and others that you are grounded. You are not trying to escape the moment. You are inhabiting it fully. This stillness becomes a container for your message. It creates the atmosphere where your words can land without distraction. Internal dialogue plays a huge role in how you carry yourself. If your mind is filled with self-doubt, negative predictions, or fear of judgment, your body will reflect it. You'll shrink, hesitate, or stumble. But if you train your inner voice to focus on the value you bring, the effort you've made, and the moment at hand, not the outcome, you reduce internal resistance. Confidence grows when you stop measuring yourself mid-sentence. The goal is not perfection, the goal is presence. The more you focus on being useful, sincere and clear, the less room fear has to grow. Visualization is a powerful training tool. Before high-stress conversations or public speaking moments, mentally rehearse not just the words, but the demeanor. See yourself standing tall, breathing slowly, responding with clarity. Feel the posture, the tone, the rhythm. This mental rehearsal wires your brain to treat the experience as familiar, which reduces anxiety. Confidence is often destroyed by unfamiliarity. The more you practice mentally and physically, the more your body begins to associate pressure with control instead of panic. Real progress also comes from embracing the discomfort instead of avoiding it. Growth does not come from perfect conditions. It comes from being in difficult conversations, facing tense moments, and using them as training. Every situation where you feel nervous or under pressure is an opportunity to refine your composure. It's not about getting rid of the nerves. It's about keeping your attention on what matters despite the nerves. One of the fastest ways to collapse under pressure is to focus too much on how you're being perceived. Confidence drains when you think too much about your appearance, your tone, your impact. But when you focus outward on the message, on helping the listener, on making a difference, your nervous system relaxes. The attention is no longer on me, but on what needs to be said. That shift turns anxiety into purpose, and purpose sharpens your voice, strengthens your delivery, and deepens your authenticity. Strong communication under pressure also involves the ability to own your pauses. Many people fear hesitation, but pausing before you answer a tough question, taking a breath after making an important point, or allowing silence to sit for a moment can make your words more impactful. It signals control. It shows you are not rushing to defend or impress. You are choosing your words with care. And that level of intention sets you apart. Clarity is a form of power. When you express yourself with simple, direct language, your message becomes impossible to ignore. Avoid over-explaining, justifying, or rambling. Confidence is often felt in what you don't say as much as in what you do. Being concise under pressure communicates that you trust your own message. That trust is contagious. Others feel it and respond to it. Daily practice sharpens all these elements. Practice speaking in small, uncomfortable ways each day. Speak up in meetings. Ask questions in groups. Share opinions even when you're unsure. Each of these moments trains your brain to handle pressure with less resistance. Over time, your nervous system adapts. The panic fades. What's left is a calm readiness to express with conviction. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it happens gradually. Day by day, conversation by conversation, your body learns to relax under tension. Your voice becomes steady. Your mind stays present, and eventually, the pressure that once rattled you becomes the very environment where your message thrives. Because now, it's not about being fearless, it's about being fully here, fully grounded, and fully capable of holding your center no matter what's happening around you. That is the essence of calm confidence, and it's a skill within reach, one moment of courage at a time. Chapter 5. Build your inner clarity before every conversation begins. Before any meaningful conversation begins, there's a silent preparation that determines how well you'll navigate it. That preparation isn't about rehearsing every word. It's about gaining clarity on your purpose, your priorities, and your emotional state. It's the work you do with yourself before a single sentence is spoken. That inner clarity is what separates reactive communication from intentional connection. It gives your words direction, it shapes your tone, and it helps you stay composed even when the dialogue takes an unexpected turn. When you enter a conversation without clarity, you carry confusion with you. You may find yourself saying things you don't mean, losing your train of thought, or becoming defensive without knowing why. That's because you haven't taken the time to understand what you truly want to express. Clarity isn't just about what you want to say, it's about why you want to say. It's about recognizing what matters and what doesn't need to be said at all. Start by asking yourself what the purpose of the conversation is, not what you want to happen on the surface, but what truly matters beneath it. Are you trying to resolve tension? Are you trying to be understood? Are you offering support? Or do you simply need to set a boundary? Once you understand the deeper aim, your words begin to align with it. You stop reacting to every comment and start guiding the conversation in the direction that matters most. Next, assess your emotional state. Are you calm or carrying resentment? Are you grounded or already feeling defensive before the other person says a word? Often the outcome of a conversation is shaped by the state you're in when you begin it. If you carry unresolved frustration, it will leak into your tone. If you're filled with anxiety, your presence will feel scattered. That's why it's essential to check in with yourself before you open your mouth. Ask, am I in the right mindset to have this conversation right now? And if not, take the time to breathe, to reset, and to bring yourself back into balance. Building inner clarity also means knowing where your limits are. Not every point needs to be argued. Not every comment needs a reaction. Some things are not about being right, they're about being real. When you have clarity, you don't waste energy proving yourself. You focus instead on expressing yourself honestly and calmly. That restraint is not weakness. It's strength rooted in understanding. And that kind of strength creates a safe space for others to engage without fear of being attacked or misunderstood. Before speaking, take a moment of silence, not out of hesitation, but out of respect for yourself and the other person. In that silence, gather your thoughts. Remind yourself of what matters. Choose your focus deliberately. That moment of pause can be the difference between a conversation that escalates and one that evolves. It's a way of reminding yourself that you are not just reacting, you are participating with purpose. Sometimes clarity is about knowing what not to say. Not every thought deserves airtime. When you have mental discipline, you filter out the noise. You choose words that serve the conversation, not words that satisfy the ego. This ability to withhold unnecessary commentary, to stay aligned with your deeper goal, requires awareness, and awareness grows through reflection. Take time after each important conversation to review it, not to judge yourself but to learn. What did you handle well? Where did your emotions take over? What would you change next time? These reflections sharpen your awareness for future moments. Another part of building clarity is recognizing the needs behind your message. Beneath every statement is a need for respect, for understanding, for connection, for autonomy. If you don't know what your real need is, you'll likely express it in a distorted way. You'll become passive-aggressive or overly defensive or vague. But when you're honest with yourself about what you need, your communication becomes more direct, more transparent, and more respectful. You stop expecting others to read your mind, and instead you express with integrity. Avoid rushing into important conversations without preparation. Even a few minutes of quiet time to gather your thoughts can change the entire trajectory. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? What do I want? What's the best outcome here? How can I contribute to that? These questions orient your mind toward constructive action rather than emotional reaction. The clearer you are within yourself, the less likely you are to get pulled into arguments that go nowhere. Clarity also requires detachment from the need to control the response. You can prepare your message. You can speak with honesty and calm, but you cannot control how the other person receives it. Trying to manage their reaction only makes your message weaker. Inner clarity includes the strength to say what needs to be said without bending under the weight of someone else's approval or disapproval. When your intent is clean and your delivery is respectful, you've done your part. What happens next is not within your control. Listen to yourself before you expect others to listen to you. If your thoughts are tangled, your words will be too. Create space in your day to think deeply, to journal, to process your feelings. These quiet moments are where clarity is born. They allow you to sort through the mental clutter and uncover what's true for you. And when you bring that truth into a conversation, you speak with a quiet authority that doesn't need to be loud to be heard. Your tone carries your clarity. It reflects your level of inner order. When you speak from a place of confusion, your tone may sound scattered or aggressive. But when your mind is settled, your tone becomes firm yet warm. People feel it. They may not agree with you, but they'll respect your presence. That respect opens doors that defensiveness would close. And over time, that ability to express clearly, calmly, and confidently becomes your superpower. Clarity also means releasing assumptions. Too often, we enter conversations thinking we already know what the other person thinks or feels. But these assumptions block real understanding. Stay curious. Ask questions instead of jumping to conclusions. Let the conversation unfold and be willing to be surprised. Clarity doesn't come from controlling the outcome. It comes from showing up fully and honestly and allowing truth to emerge through dialogue. Every conversation has the potential to deepen trust or erode it. The difference lies in how clearly you enter it. When you've done the internal work, your words are not scattered, they are grounded. You don't just speak to be heard. You speak to connect, to understand, and to be understood. That level of communication is rare, but it becomes natural when clarity is your foundation. This kind of clarity is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Without it, you're just reacting to life. With it, you begin shaping your relationships, your decisions, and your direction with intention. So take the time. Before you speak, pause. Before you respond, reflect. Before you engage, align. That inner preparation doesn't just improve your communication. It transforms it into something powerful, respectful, and real. Chapter 6. Sharpen your vocabulary to express thoughts with precision. Being able to express what you think clearly begins with having the right words at your disposal. Vocabulary is not just about knowing more words, it's about choosing the right ones for the right moment. Precision in speech doesn't come from using fancy or complex language. It comes from using language that is accurate, simple, and deliberate. When you sharpen your vocabulary, you sharpen your mind. You stop speaking in circles. You stop filling space with vague, empty phrases. You begin speaking in a way that reflects clarity of thought and strength of intention. There's a difference between having a thought and knowing how to express it. Many people feel something deeply but struggle to convey it because they haven't built the vocabulary to match their inner world. They settle for generalities. They use phrases like, "you know what I mean," because they can't find the exact words that reflect what they actually mean. And over time, this lack of precision leads to frustration, misunderstanding, and distance in relationships. When your words don't match your thoughts, people respond to the words, not your true meaning. The way to change that is by actively developing your vocabulary, not to impress others but to align your communication with what's real for you. Start noticing the words you use often. Are they vague? Are they habitual? Do they repeat because you haven't explored better alternatives? When you say things like, "I'm fine," or "it's whatever," you're often masking the truth. Maybe you're not fine, maybe it's not whatever, but you don't yet have the language to express what's actually going on. Building your vocabulary gives you that ability. When you read more, listen more, and reflect more, you naturally begin to expand the range of your language. But this isn't just about consuming more information. It's about paying attention to language in action. Listen to how great speakers convey their message with clarity. Notice how they choose words that land with weight, not noise. Study the difference between saying, "I'm upset," and saying, "I feel let down because my expectations weren't met." The second one offers clarity. It shows emotional intelligence, and it leads to more meaningful conversations. Practice replacing imprecise language with direct expression. Instead of saying, "I don't like that," try, "I feel uncomfortable with that approach because it goes against my values." Instead of saying, "He's annoying," consider, "His behavior feels dismissive, and it makes it hard for me to engage openly." The goal isn't to speak more, but to speak better, to take the guesswork out of what you mean. This isn't about being rigid, it's about being honest. And honesty becomes easier when your vocabulary allows you to capture the nuances of your thoughts and feelings. This clarity isn't just important in difficult conversations, it's crucial in daily life. Whether you're giving feedback, asking for help, setting a boundary, or expressing appreciation, the quality of your words affects the quality of your relationships. People are more likely to respond with care and respect when your words make it easy for them to understand you. But if your message is foggy, they may misinterpret your tone, your intent, or your meaning. And miscommunication is one of the fastest ways to damage connection. You don't have to use long or uncommon words to be precise. In fact, some of the most powerful expressions are made up of simple, specific language. The key is to choose words that carry your exact meaning, not more, not less. This might mean saying, "I'm overwhelmed," instead of "I'm stressed." If that word more accurately describes your internal state, it might mean saying, "I need some time to process this," instead of shutting down the conversation completely. The more honest and specific you are, the easier it becomes for others to meet you where you are. Precision in language also brings a sense of calm. When you know how to say exactly what you mean, you don't have to rely on tone, body language, or repetition to get your point across. You reduce the need for defense. You don't feel the urge to over-explain. You simply say what you mean, and you let it land. That kind of communication creates space for respect. It shows maturity, it demonstrates self-awareness, and it leads to outcomes that are more productive and more peaceful. Start keeping track of the words you struggle to express. Notice moments when you feel something but don't have the vocabulary for it. Then take time to find those words. Look them up, write them down. Use them in your thoughts, in your journaling, and eventually in your speech. This is how your vocabulary sharpens, not through memorization, but through connection. You make the word yours by tying it to something real in your life. Be patient with yourself. You won't change your vocabulary overnight, but every effort you make to express yourself with more precision compounds over time. You begin to feel less misunderstood. You start experiencing less conflict. People respond better to you because they no longer have to guess your meaning. And in turn, you develop greater confidence in your own voice, not because it's louder, but because it's clearer. Sharpening your vocabulary isn't just about communication, it's about self-respect. It's about taking your thoughts seriously enough to find the right words for them. When you care about your words, you show that you care about what you're thinking and feeling. You stop allowing vague language to flatten your experience. You begin speaking with more care, more insight, and more impact. And the people who hear you begin listening differently, not just because your words sound better, but because they carry more truth. Precise language is also a tool for clear thinking. When you practice finding the right word, you refine your ability to think clearly. The process forces you to slow down, to evaluate your thoughts, to challenge generalizations, and to uncover what's really going on. Instead of saying everything is falling apart, you start to realize that only one part of your day didn't go as planned. That shift in language changes your perspective. It grounds you. It reminds you that not all problems are as big as they first seem. When your vocabulary expands, so does your ability to solve problems, to resolve tension, to explain ideas, and to connect deeply with others. It opens doors in both your personal and professional life. You start noticing how others communicate. You become more attuned to the words they choose, and you begin responding not just to what they say, but to what they mean. That level of understanding builds stronger relationships. It creates more trust. It helps you navigate conflict with less friction and more respect. In the end, your words are a reflection of your mind. If your language is unclear, your thoughts likely are too. But when you sharpen your vocabulary, you bring structure to your thinking. You give shape to what's within you, and that gives your communication power, not because it dominates, but because it resonates. It connects. It clarifies, and most of all, it reveals who you really are, clearly, calmly, and without confusion. Chapter 7. Slow down your breath to speed up your mind. Your breath is the most underused tool for sharpening your mental clarity. Most people never think about it. They go through their day, reacting, rushing, speaking, moving, without ever noticing how shallow or fast their breathing has become. But when you pause, when you direct your attention inward, and when you begin to slow your breath intentionally, something powerful happens. The noise begins to drop, the urgency quiets, and your mind finds a space that wasn't there before, a space where you can think clearly, respond wisely, and regain control over how you show up. Rushed breathing creates a rushed mind. When your breath becomes short, your thoughts follow. You jump from idea to idea, reacting instead of responding, overthinking instead of observing. But when you learn to breathe slowly and with intention, the opposite takes place. The thoughts that once felt tangled begin to loosen. The mental pressure that felt overwhelming begins to release. And without needing to force clarity, you start to notice it arising naturally. Slowing your breath doesn't mean sitting down for an hour with your eyes closed. It means learning how to return to yourself in the middle of real life. It's the kind of breath you take before answering a difficult question, the pause you allow before making a decision, the inner stillness you practice while everyone else is caught in urgency. That kind of breath gives your mind a chance to reset. It interrupts the unconscious pace of worry. It reminds your nervous system that there's no emergency, and that single reminder can change the direction of your entire day. When your breathing slows, your awareness sharpens. You begin to hear what others are really saying. You notice what you were about to say but decide not to. You catch the assumptions you were making and see the situation with new eyes. This isn't about being passive, it's about being present. A calm breath gives your mind time to observe instead of assume. It allows you to stay grounded while others lose their center. It gives you a way to manage your thoughts without becoming overwhelmed by them. In moments of pressure, most people tense up and breathe even faster. That's when mistakes happen. That's when tempers flare. But if you've trained yourself to respond to pressure by slowing your breath, you create a space between the pressure and your response. That space is where your intelligence lives. That's where your decisions become intentional. That's where your words gain weight. It's not because you're trying harder, it's because you've slowed down enough to access your full mind. If you want to move through life with more clarity, more mental speed and less confusion, your breath must become your anchor. You must learn to use it not just during meditation, but in the heat of real moments. When you walk into a meeting, slow your breath. When someone interrupts you, slow your breath. When you're feeling overwhelmed, stop and take a breath that's deeper than you feel like taking. This is not a sign of weakness. This is how you remain strong while others unravel. When your breath is slow, your thoughts are easier to handle. You see what's useful and what's just noise. You begin to act with purpose instead of emotion. You become the kind of person others trust, not because you're always right, but because you're steady. Your steadiness creates safety. Your calm becomes contagious. And in a world full of people rushing to speak, your ability to breathe and pause gives you an edge. No amount of information can replace. The more you train your breath, the faster your thinking becomes, not in speed but in clarity. Clarity is what most people mistake for quick thinking. It's not about responding faster, it's about responding with the right thought at the right time. The person who pauses for one breath and speaks with depth will always be more powerful than the person who rushes into a reply without thinking. Breath isn't a delay, it's an advantage. It's the foundation of clarity. There's a reason elite performers, high-level leaders, and emotionally intelligent people all practice breathwork in some form. They understand that no matter how smart you are, if your nervous system is flooded, your thinking becomes clouded. And the fastest way to regulate that system is through the breath. It bypasses willpower. It calms your physiology, and it returns you to a mental space where you can access your intelligence, your awareness, and your composure. When you build this habit, you stop being carried by emotions you don't recognize. You become someone who can observe anger without reacting from it. You recognize fear without shrinking under it. You feel tension without transferring it to others. That level of awareness only comes when your breath slows down, because when your breath is calm, your mind can catch up to reality instead of running from it. Every conversation, every challenge, every decision becomes more manageable when you bring your breath with you, not just automatically, but intentionally. You are no longer hijacked by emotion or pressure. You are no longer reacting from old patterns. You begin to respond from presence. You speak with more clarity, listen with more depth, and act with more purpose. This is not something anyone will teach you in school. It's not something most people around you will even talk about. But if you practice it, you will notice an internal shift that no external success can give you. You'll begin to feel that you are no longer scattered or confused. You will begin to feel that your thoughts are aligned, your words are deliberate, and your presence carries more weight. And you'll know it started with something as simple and overlooked as your breath. Begin practicing this now, wherever you are. In the middle of a sentence, between tasks, before you reach for your phone, just pause. Take one slow, full breath. Then another. Don't rush back into motion. Let the breath settle. Let your thoughts slow just enough to hear yourself clearly. This is how your mind becomes sharper. Not by forcing more thinking, but by making space for the right thinking to emerge. This is how your clarity deepens. This is how your communication becomes more powerful. This is how your decisions become wiser. And it all begins, not with more effort, not with more action, but with a single slow breath that brings your mind fully back into the moment. Chapter 8. Challenge your fears by speaking in unfamiliar situations. Every time you speak in a situation that feels unfamiliar, you grow stronger in ways that no amount of reading, preparation, or theory can provide. The mind learns through action. It doesn't evolve by staying in comfort. It expands by facing the very edges of what feels uncomfortable, especially when that discomfort is rooted in fear. Fear of judgment, fear of looking unprepared, fear of being misunderstood. These fears shrink not by thinking about them, but by doing exactly what they tell you not to do, speaking anyway, even when your voice shakes. Fear always wants to keep you safe. But safety, in the emotional sense, is not always aligned with growth. The part of you that hesitates in new situations is not trying to hurt you. It's trying to avoid the unknown. But the unknown is where confidence is built. Confidence does not come first. Action does. And when you choose to speak up in unfamiliar places, among people who don't already know you, with topics you haven't mastered, you're not just finding your voice, you're building a new self. When you speak in situations that stretch you, you give yourself evidence. Evidence that you didn't collapse, that your mind didn't go blank forever, that you had something valuable to say, even if it wasn't perfect, that you survived, and maybe even succeeded. And the next time that same fear appears, it holds less weight, because now you've seen the other side. You've tasted what it feels like to express yourself, despite the shaking hands or nervous breath. And you know that fear does not have the final word. You do. You can only strengthen your communication in real time, not in imagination. You can rehearse all day, but the moment you enter a room where no one knows you, where the rules are unclear, and where you're unsure how your message will land, that is where growth happens. Your heartbeat rises. Your thoughts speed up. But in that exact pressure, you become alert, alive and honest. And in that honesty, your words come out more real than you expected. This is the edge most people avoid. But if you step into it again and again, your growth becomes unstoppable. Don't wait until you feel fully ready. That day never comes. Start before you think you're qualified. Speak before you feel composed. Share your view when your mind tells you to stay quiet. The more you practice in situations where you can't fully predict the outcome, the more flexible and adaptive your mind becomes. It stops needing control. It starts embracing uncertainty. That shift is essential if you want to become someone who thrives under pressure, not someone who retreats from it. You don't need to conquer every fear at once. You only need to take one step beyond your current comfort. That might mean raising your hand in a group discussion when you'd normally stay silent. It might mean making small talk with someone at a networking event instead of scrolling your phone. It might mean sharing your opinion during a meeting, even when your heart is pounding. Each of these moments adds a layer of resilience, not because they're huge, but because they challenge your patterns. Speaking in unfamiliar situations forces your brain to become creative. You can't rely on routines or memorized lines. You have to be present. You have to listen closely. You have to think on your feet. And that presence builds a kind of mental strength that stays with you. You begin to trust yourself. Not because you always have the right words, but because you've learned that you can navigate pressure without losing your center. Every unfamiliar situation holds a hidden lesson. When you walk away from it, ask yourself what you learned. What surprised you? What did you handle better than expected? What threw you off balance? These reflections are not meant to criticize you. They're there to help you grow faster. With every new attempt, you adjust. You refine. You get better at managing your breath, choosing your words, and keeping your focus even when your emotions rise. Don't look for applause. Look for experience. Most of your progress won't be visible to others. It will be internal, felt in the way you respond to discomfort, in the calm that begins to replace panic, in the clarity that starts to show up where there used to be confusion. This is what makes you mentally strong. Not perfection, not charisma, but the steady decision to show up and speak, even when it feels awkward, even when the stakes feel high. Your voice matters more than you think. But you'll never know how powerful it can be until you put it to the test in places that scare you. These moments are not accidents. They are invitations. Opportunities for you to stretch beyond the self-image you've carried and discover new abilities you didn't know you had. No one grows in the middle of comfort. Growth is always found in the tension between who you were and who you are becoming. Unfamiliar situations force you to let go of the script. That's where authenticity emerges. That's where your real thinking shines through. People respond to that. They don't want perfect. They want presence. They want someone who's not afraid to be seen figuring it out in real time. That kind of courage builds credibility. It creates connection, and it opens doors that would stay closed if you kept waiting for the perfect moment. This is how fear loses its grip. Not by removing the nerves, but by moving forward while they're still there. Each time you do, you chip away at the barrier between your potential and your expression. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. What used to scare you becomes normal. What used to hold you back becomes your training ground. This transformation doesn't require a radical personality shift. It only requires repetition. You have more courage than you realize. It's just waiting for a reason to rise. Give it that reason by stepping into situations where your voice is needed, even if your mind tries to convince you otherwise. You will not regret speaking when your intention is honest. You will not regret trying when the goal is growth. The only regret will be staying silent when you had something important to say. The next time you feel that fear rising, take a breath. Let it be there. But don't let it stop you. Walk into the room, open the conversation, share the idea, face the unknown with open eyes and a steady voice. And remember, you're not just challenging fear, you're building a mind that gets sharper, calmer, and more confident every time you do. Chapter 9. Reflect daily to improve how you communicate fast. To grow in how you express yourself, you must build a habit of reflection that goes deeper than casual thought. Each day holds dozens of moments where you spoke, listened, hesitated, or reacted, and in each of those you left clues. These clues, when examined at the end of your day, reveal patterns. They show you not only how you communicate, but why. They uncover the places where your message was strong and where it fell short. Without reflection, you are left guessing. With it, you begin to see clearly. Think back to a conversation you had today. What did you say when the other person disagreed? Did you feel the need to prove your point, or did you ask more questions? When someone misunderstood you, did you repeat yourself in frustration, or did you pause to explain it another way? These tiny choices form your communication style, and they're easy to miss unless you intentionally review them. Reflection slows your thinking down just long enough to extract real insight from your daily life. Most people want to speak more clearly or listen more effectively, but they wait for a future training or some ideal situation to begin. They don't realize that every conversation, especially the awkward ones, is a mirror. And if you're willing to look into that mirror without judgment, you'll begin to notice your triggers, your strengths, and your blind spots. Reflection is not about blaming yourself. It's about becoming aware of your tendencies so you can make better decisions next time. When you reflect on how you communicate, you're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be intentional. Ask yourself what you were really trying to say in that conversation with your colleague. Was your tone aligned with your intention? Did your body language help or confuse your message? These small details matter because communication is not just about words, it's about presence, timing, tone, and energy. And the more you reflect, the more you start to adjust these elements in real time. You can't improve what you don't notice. Reflection brings the invisible into focus. It reveals where your mind tends to rush, where your emotions interrupt your clarity, and where your words stray from your intention. Once you notice these things, you can start to prepare better responses, rehearse alternative ways of phrasing your ideas, and slow yourself down in future conversations when those same moments arise again. Some of your best learning happens after the interaction is over, not during it. In the moment, you're reacting. But after it ends, you can analyze. Why did your voice rise at that point? What made you interrupt? Why did your message fall flat, even though your point was valid? Each answer you find makes you sharper the next time. Reflection is not passive thinking. It's active engagement with your past behavior for the sake of future excellence. Doing this daily turns growth into a rhythm. Before bed or at the end of work, ask yourself what conversations stood out today. What made them challenging? What made them flow? Where did I freeze, and where did I lead? With just 10 minutes of honest review, you begin to build a map of how your communication evolves. You stop moving blindly through your social world and start moving with direction and purpose. You'll start to recognize the repeated situations that trip you up. Maybe it's when you're asked to explain something quickly. Maybe it's when you feel judged. Maybe it's when someone questions your ideas. When you see these patterns, you can build strategies. You can practice responses, develop calming routines, or shift your inner dialogue before these situations catch you off guard again. Fast communication becomes easier when your mind is already familiar with the terrain. Daily reflection is not about perfection, it's about progress. You don't have to analyze every word. Focus on key moments. Did you speak when you needed to? Did you stay silent when you should have? Did you listen closely, or did your mind drift? These simple questions bring powerful clarity, and that clarity compounds. In a week, you'll notice subtle improvements. In a month, people may start responding to you differently. In a year, you may not even recognize your old habits. One of the biggest benefits of reflection is that it helps you see your own growth. Without it, improvement feels vague. You might be communicating better, but you won't know why. With reflection, you can track your evolution. You can say, 3 weeks ago, I would have avoided that conversation. Today, I led it. That awareness fuels motivation. It shows you that your effort is paying off. You also begin to see the gap between intention and impact. Sometimes, you think you were being clear, but the other person heard something else. That disconnect isn't always your fault, but it's still your responsibility to notice. Reflection helps you identify those moments where what you meant and what was heard didn't match. Then, you can choose to adjust. You can clarify, follow up, or learn how to be more precise next time. Reflecting daily also sharpens your self-awareness under pressure. In fast-paced conversations, you don't have time to think deeply. But if you've trained your awareness through consistent reflection, your reactions become more accurate. You'll catch yourself before you speak too quickly. You'll notice when you're pushing too hard. You'll adjust in real time, not because you're thinking harder, but because you've trained your instincts through consistent review. Communication is like a craft. The more attention you give it, the more refined it becomes. And like any craft, the best improvements often come from reviewing your previous work. That's what reflection offers you. A chance to look back, not with regret, but with curiosity. What worked? What could be done differently? That mindset turns every interaction into a stepping stone toward mastery. Make this practice part of your day. Keep a notebook. Use a voice memo. Even a short walk where you mentally replay your key conversations is enough. The key is consistency. When you reflect daily, you communicate more deliberately the next day. You stop repeating avoidable mistakes. You start building new habits. Habits that lead to stronger presence, clearer thinking, and faster, more precise speaking. And perhaps most importantly, reflection helps you stay honest with yourself. It's easy to assume you're doing well when no one gives you feedback. But your own reflection is the most reliable feedback system you have. If you use it regularly, it becomes your guide. It shows you where you've grown, and it points you toward what needs attention next. That is how you improve, not in random bursts, but through steady, focused self-awareness, day after day. Chapter 10. Commit to growing your thinking speed every day. Growing your thinking speed is not something that happens overnight. It requires consistent effort, dedication, and a commitment to challenge yourself every single day. The mind, much like a muscle, strengthens with use and training. When you decide to nurture your ability to think faster, you are setting yourself on a path that will not only enhance your communication, but also improve decision-making, problem-solving, and your overall confidence in navigating life's challenges. Every day presents an opportunity to stretch your mental agility. The key is to approach these opportunities with deliberate intention. It means seeking out moments that push you just beyond your comfort zone, those situations that make your mind work a little harder, faster, and more creatively. It's about transforming ordinary moments into training ground for quicker, sharper thinking. This commitment turns simple daily interactions into a series of mental workouts that gradually build your cognitive speed. Start by embracing curiosity in your daily life. Curiosity naturally propels your mind to seek connections, patterns, and solutions quickly. When you encounter something unfamiliar, instead of avoiding it, lean into the challenge. Ask questions. Explore new ideas. This practice of staying mentally engaged encourages your brain to adapt and respond faster to the information it encounters. The faster you engage with new input, the more efficient your thinking processes become. Equally important is the willingness to accept mistakes as part of growth. Rapid thinking can lead to occasional errors, but these should be seen as valuable lessons rather than setbacks. Each misstep provides feedback about how your mind operates under pressure and what adjustments you can make. When you commit to daily growth, you learn to treat mistakes not as failures, but as signals pointing toward improvement. This mindset fosters resilience and keeps your momentum steady. Consistency is your greatest ally in this journey. Just as athletes train their bodies daily, your brain thrives on regular stimulation. Setting aside time each day to engage in activities that demand quick thinking sharpens your mental reflexes. These could be simple exercises, such as solving puzzles, playing strategy games, or engaging in fast-paced discussions. The goal is to create a routine where your mind is habitually challenged to process, analyze, and respond swiftly. Avoid overwhelming yourself with unrealistic expectations. Growth in thinking speed is a gradual process. Trying to rush it often leads to frustration or burnout. Instead, celebrate small victories along the way. Recognize when you respond more quickly than before, or when your thoughts come more clearly in a situation that previously felt daunting. These milestones build confidence and encourage further progress. Mental flexibility is a crucial component of thinking quickly. This means being open to different perspectives and ready to shift your approach when new information arises. Practicing this flexibility daily enables your mind to navigate complex scenarios without getting stuck in rigid patterns. The more adaptable your thinking, the faster you can process changes and make decisions that align with your goals. Engage with diverse sources of information regularly. Reading widely, listening to different viewpoints, and exposing yourself to unfamiliar subjects enrich your mental landscape. This diversity provides your brain with a rich repository of knowledge and associations, which speeds up the retrieval of relevant information when you need it. The more connections your mind can make quickly, the sharper your thinking becomes. Mindfulness can play an essential role in enhancing thinking speed. When your attention is scattered, your mind struggles to keep up. Practicing mindfulness, even for a few minutes a day, trains your brain to focus on the present moment. This improved concentration reduces distractions and enables your mind to process information more efficiently. As a result, you can think faster without sacrificing accuracy or depth. Physical health is also intertwined with mental agility. Adequate sleep, balanced nutrition, and regular exercise contribute significantly to how well your brain functions. When your body is well cared for, your cognitive speed improves naturally. Neglecting these basics can slow your mental responses and hinder your growth. Committing to daily physical well-being supports your mental performance and overall energy levels. One powerful way to boost thinking speed is through deliberate practice in conversation. Engaging in discussions that require you to respond thoughtfully and promptly forces your brain to work efficiently. Whether you're debating, storytelling, or answering questions, these exchanges simulate real-world situations where quick thinking is vital. The more you practice, the more natural rapid mental responses become. Another effective strategy is setting daily mental challenges. This might involve timing yourself to solve a problem or making quick decisions based on limited information. These exercises mimic pressure situations and train your brain to perform under stress. The repeated exposure to mental pressure helps desensitize your stress response, allowing your thinking to remain clear and rapid even when stakes are high. It's important to track your progress over time. Keeping a journal or notes about your daily efforts and improvements encourages accountability and motivation. Reflect on what strategies worked best, where you struggled, and how you adapted. This ongoing feedback loop allows you to fine-tune your approach and stay committed to your growth journey. Surround yourself with people who encourage your development. Conversations with others who value quick thinking and problem-solving create an environment that nurtures your goals. Their feedback, insights, and challenges can push you further than solitary practice alone. Collaboration often sparks new ideas and quick mental shifts that accelerate your progress. Embrace technology as a helpful tool. There are many apps and games designed to enhance cognitive speed and flexibility. Using these tools regularly provides structured, enjoyable ways to challenge your brain. However, balance is essential. Avoid letting technology become a distraction or substitute for real-world interactions that also build your thinking skills. Remember that growing your thinking speed is ultimately about improving your quality of life. When your mind moves swiftly, you become more confident, less anxious, and more effective in all areas. You handle problems with greater ease, communicate more clearly, and seize opportunities quickly. This transformation doesn't happen by chance, but by daily, intentional commitment. Each day you choose to invest in your mental growth, you're building a future where your mind supports your ambitions rather than holding you back. This commitment empowers you to face uncertainty with calm and clarity. You begin to see challenges as invitations to learn rather than threats to your peace. Over time, your faster thinking becomes a foundation for a more dynamic, fulfilling life. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start. Begin now with whatever time and energy you have. Even brief daily sessions add up. Consistency beats intensity when it comes to lasting mental growth. The decision to commit to growing your thinking speed every day is a powerful step toward unlocking your full potential. In this journey, patience and perseverance are your allies. Progress may sometimes seem slow, but each moment of focused effort compounds. Trust the process and keep pushing your boundaries. With every challenge you take on, your mind becomes quicker, sharper, and more agile. You are not defined by how fast you think today, but by your willingness to keep improving. That daily commitment to growth is what transforms ordinary thinking into extraordinary mental performance. Keep going. Your mind is capable of more than you realize, and with persistent effort, you will unlock new levels of clarity, speed, and confidence that will enrich every conversation and decision you make.